Hi everybody, it's Christina from Pretty Distressed. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am gonna be making over these chairs, but I have a little twist for you guys. I'm gonna be using a paint sprayer for the very first time. This is the Wagner Flexio 3000, and I'm going to be comparing it to just a regular old paintbrush. So if you wanna hear all my thoughts about this sprayer and see how I got this look, just keep watching. If you're new here, I am a furniture painter and refinisher, and what that means is I'm normally taking things from around my home or things that I find on the cheap and I make them over into new creations. So if you want to learn more about furniture painting, please consider subscribing before you leave. These chairs were gifted to me by someone who was about to throw them out, and people always know they can offer up free furniture to me. So I'm just going to take these chairs and lighten them up a little bit. Today's video is sponsored by Wagner, so thank you to them for sending me this Flexio 3000 to try out. I was really surprised how easy it was to use for a beginner and the time that it saved me. So I'm going to show you all the details and ins and out of this project today. So let me zoom you in and we'll get started. The first thing you want to do is tape up some plastic to protect your space from overspray. I'm working in the garage today, and then I'm going to prep my chairs. I'm just flipping them over to remove the seat, which is a cushion, and I'll be reupholstering those later. I'm also taping off the feet because I don't want these little stoppers to get paint on them. So once I remove the seat cushion, I'm actually going to clean the surface of all the chairs. And the best way to do this is with some mild soap like Dawn and really hot water and a sponge. I like to use one with a scour pad on the other side in case I have some really dirty, grimy things to get off. Then I will rinse all the soap off with some clean water and wipe it down with a dry towel. At this point, these were pretty beat up, so I took some plastic wood filler and filled in any gouges or nicks that I had just to make the surface a little bit more smooth. Check your product for dry time. It's usually a couple hours. Then I'm just sanding it down with a 150 sandpaper and wiping all that dust back. I am going to be using an old favorite of mine, Annie Sloan Chalk Paint in Old White, and I'm going to be using one of their natural bristle brushes to show you the hand painting portion today. I have been painting with furniture paint for about 5 years now, and I have done a lot of chairs in my time, and there was a time where I would not accept jobs with chairs because of how long they take to do hand painting. I'm going to take you through the whole process here, putting this paint on, but it normally takes me about 20 minutes to do one coat of paint on a chair. And the reason why I'm using chalk paint, if you're not familiar with it, there's very little prep involved in putting this paint on. Like you saw, I just cleaned the surface off. I didn't have to sand it back or strip it back. And I also like using this paint because of the matte finish that it gives, and it distresses really easily and really naturally as opposed to latex. And these were pretty beat up, so I am going to be distressing them a little bit for a farmhouse look. So that is why I have chosen chalk paint today. Now I'm going to hop over to use the Flexio 3000 for the rest of the chairs. This is the way that it comes in this nice hard carrying case. This one comes with 2 nozzles. This is the eye spray nozzle. It is for large projects like painting walls or the exterior of your home. So I'm hoping to try this out in a future project, but this is the one I will be using today. This is the detail finish nozzle, and it is ideal for detail projects and finer finishes. It's going to give me a smoother finish, and it's actually really great for doing thinner materials like oil-based stains. My sprayer came with a couple of plastic bags to make cleanup a little bit easier, so I just put that in my cup and I am pouring my paint in. I did end up thinning my paint out just a little bit. That is not necessary, but I like my chalk paint a little thinner because it is a really thick paint. I just think it helps with the smoothness of the appearance. Since I'm mostly going to be spraying down and horizontally, they recommend turning the nozzle forward before you attach it to your cup. So then I just made sure that my lid was nice and secure on my paint can, and then I'm going to attach it to the turbine. You just follow the arrows with the unlock and lock symbol, and it clicks right into place, and the trigger clicks right into place, so it's really easy to know that you're all set and ready to go. And like I said, chalk paint is pretty thick, so I set my material flow and my air power on the highest settings that were available. If you have any questions about what settings you should be using, they make it very clear in a table in the owner's manual. So on this first chair, I gave myself a little break and didn't time myself because I wanted to really get my technique down a little bit before I compared it directly to hand painting. So here I'm just testing out the sprayer, getting the hang of it. I was really impressed on how easy it was to work with. One thing I will mention that I made a mistake on is I taped my plastic sheeting, not to the wall, I taped it to like a garage rail, and the turbine kicks up a lot of air, so it was blowing that plastic all around. So I definitely recommend actually taping that to a wall when you're doing that. I had to stop and reposition mine because it was getting a little crazy in there. Wagner actually makes a little pop-up tent shelter to use with their spray gun, and I have actually already ordered one of those for next time because I know I'm going to be using this thing again because I had a lot of fun with it. Okay, so now that I got the hang of this gun, I am jumping into doing 2 chairs at a time, and I am going to time this whole thing to see how much faster the sprayer can move compared to the brush. If you are a fan of a smooth finish when it comes to painted furniture, this is absolutely the tool for you. You're not going to see any brush strokes because there is no brush. It's actually air in this turbine that pushes the paint out onto the chairs. In fact, I'm going to pause for a second just so you can hear the noise that it makes when you're spraying. When you are spraying with this particular detailed nozzle, you are supposed to be about 3 to 6 inches away from your piece. I definitely could do a better job staying closer. I tended to keep pulling away, so I needed to remind myself to get a little bit closer in there. The sprayer is very easy to operate. You're just pulling a trigger to get the paint out, and you place your nozzle horizontal when you're painting side to side, and then place it vertical when you're painting up and down, and then you put it on a diagonal when you're doing detailed areas like quarters. I was also impressed with how clean I stayed. I didn't get paint all over me. Actually, I didn't even get paint on my clothes at all, which is pretty shocking. At one point, I did have my paint gun just kind of clog up on me. It wasn't spraying out any paint, so I just troubleshooted it with the owner's manual. I took the nozzle off and made sure everything was clear and not clogged, and that was fine. And it still wasn't spraying paint, but what had happened when I was refilling my cup is that that plastic bag got wrapped around the valve. Once I got that out, the sprayer started working fine and I was back in business. So as you can see, I finished 2 chairs in about half the time it took me to put 1 coat on with a paintbrush, and the coverage is way better. All right, so while those dry, I'm hopping back over to my hand painted chair and I'm putting the 2nd coat on. So I'm gonna get my timer running here again. And once I was done with the 2nd coat, this hand painted one, the coverage still wasn't as good as just 1 coat with the sprayer. So again, super impressed with the coverage of the Wagner that it gives you in just 1 coat. Okay, after I let my sprayed chairs dry for a couple of hours, I went back in and added just a very light dusting where I saw areas of that dark finish peeking through. I mostly put it in the diagonal setting and just did kind of like a light dusting in those areas that needed a little bit more coverage. But I definitely didn't have to do a full true 2nd coat with the chairs that were sprayed. I didn't really time that first chair as I was getting the hang of it, but if I kind of average out all the time I spent spraying, it was about 6 minutes per chair once I got the hang of it, which is crazy because it took me 40 minutes to hand paint 1 chair. Cleanup was really easy once I was finished. It just comes apart. You take the little spray nozzles off and give those a really good rinse and down where the paint comes out as well, and the can and the valve, and it all cleaned up really easy with just warm soapy water, and then I set it out to dry. The sprayer puts on a really good amount of paint, so I let these dry for over 24 hours before I touched them. And like I said earlier, I am going to be distressing these today. I have a 320 sanding block here, and I am going to rub this over the entire surface of every part of the chair. Sometimes when I'm distressing, I just go around the edges, but when it's really smooth like this, I like to take a fine sandpaper and just rub everything down, and it will naturally distress it a little bit. Once I'm done sanding, I just take a fluffy paintbrush or a tack cloth and just wipe away all that dust to prepare for waxing. And here are some close-ups of what that light distressing looks like. Like I said earlier, chalk paint really lends itself to this distressing. It just adds character to pieces, especially that have been a little well-loved and have some dings and nicks in them. I'm going to be sealing these chairs with Annie Sloan Wax and Clear and using one of the Annie Sloan Wax brushes to apply that. I love to use wax, especially over white, because I think it really keeps that color true to what it is and it doesn't yellow. There are other ways that you can seal chairs, but this is just how I'm going to be doing it today. The wax is going to seal that paint in and just really protect your piece. It cures in 30 days, and I have a lot of tutorials that go into depth on how to use wax, so I will link some of those up above in case you want to check them out. So my last step is I'm going to recover these seat cushions, so I'm ripping off the current thing that is on there and just removing as many staples as I can to give me kind of a clean surface. All you do to cover a seat like this is cut your fabric down to size and then pick where you want to put your pleats and just take a regular old staple gun and staple that all the way around. I just keep pulling my fabric tight so that it's gonna have a clean look. I really like this fabric. I picked it up from Hobby Lobby and it has a really cute farmhouse look with the ticking stripe. Just to remind you what we started off with, here is what the chairs looked like at the beginning of our project, and here they are now after being sprayed with the Wagner Flexio 3000. I am in love with this makeover. I think these chairs are so cute. I currently have them sitting in my dining room and I think they're gonna stay there for a while. I cannot get over how much time I saved using the sprayer on this project and the beautiful results that it gave me. I definitely think you would be happy adding this to your arsenal of DIY tools. Thank you guys for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you learned something today. Don't forget to check out the link to this Flexio 3000 below in the description box. I hope I took the mystery away behind using a sprayer. I definitely will be using this again on an upcoming project, so come back and see what I do next time. Thanks again to Wagner for sponsoring this video and letting me try out this sprayer. If you liked this video, leave a thumbs up before you go. If you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comment box below. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you guys next time.